Hello, dear viewers. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the globe. Today is New Year's Eve, and so I will be talking about the year gone by. I want to discuss about the content I've made this year and what I want to do next year. This year, I made content about uh, on the various topics that I have. For example, in Indian nationalism related to current events, I spoke about elections. I spoke about um, sports, India's victories in sports, India's economic progress, and Indian politics, and etc. In Indian nationalism in general, I spoke about Indian religion, Hindutva, and secularism. I spoke about gender in India. I spoke about how various other issues. And in NATO, I spoke about mainly NATO's conflict with Russia. And I also spoke about how NATO is handling other issues and how the politics of their individual members, such as Germany, will affect NATO. And in for the SEO, I mainly discussed the regular actions and meetings held by the SEO. And uh, for the topic of nationalism in South Asian countries, I spoke about both current events in South Asia and about South Asia in general topics. And in nationalism outside South Asia, I spoke about countries like the US, Brazil, Japan, and Russia, etc. I spoke mainly about geopolitics and about the internal domestic politics of each country. I spoke about economic and strategic issues. And about the Quad, I mainly spoke about the individual members and about the summit meeting held this year in the US. Other than that, I've not spoken much about uh, else about the Quad. And yeah, those are the topics that I talked about this year. I think I'm happy with what I've done so far, but I'd like to do better and do more. I think the topic of Indian nationalism in current events, I'd like to make videos about uh, what's happening in the specific legislative assemblies, including the parliament, laws that are being passed, and or ordinances being introduced, and specifically the nitty gritty of the governmental activities. I also, for Indian nationalism in general, I want to talk more about history, historical events, and also I want to talk more about religion and in Indian nationalism in South Asian countries. I want to talk more about the uh, economic issues of each country, and I want to uh, go further into that about their economic state, how they're growing or whether they're falling, and how they can do better, how South Asia can be more economically integrated. And yeah, in nationalism in countries that are outside of South Asia, I want to focus on the countries that are the most important globally, and I don't want, and this includes countries like the US, China, UK, etc. So I think I'll be speaking more about these countries. I won't, and I may repeat some countries. Uh, and About NATO, SCO, and the Quad, I want to learn more about them, about their internal structures, and have a deeper understanding of their activities. And I want to talk about how India can, with respect to SEO and Quad, how it can, what positions it should take, and how it can develop its relations with each SEO and Quad nations greater. And I want to talk about how India can interact with NATO as an external partner. Hopefully, I would hope that India becomes a an actual strategic partner for NATO. Although, of course, it can't be a ally. I'd hope it becomes a more deeper partnership with NATO. And about the Quad, I want to talk about mainly on the four countries together. I want to talk about how they're growing, how they're helping each other, both not just against China, but in general. And I primarily want to focus on how they're taking on China, because, as I've said before, China is the greatest threat to nationalism in the 21st century, and the Quad countries are the best placed and the most powerful countries that can oppose China. And yeah, uh, what I want to do in next year is I want to talk about elections in countries. I want to focus on the election processes in various democracies to understand them, and to find which of the politicians in each of the countries are nationalists and which are globalists, so I can give my support to nationalists. And I also want to talk about other content creators who are nationalists. I want to react to their videos, respond to them, etc. And yeah, that's what I want to do for this coming year. Uh, so, like about elections, I will talk about I will talk about elections in the regular topics, but other than that, if I'm not able to, I will talk about an election separately in its own video. And about about other content creators, I think either on every Sunday I will respond to a video made by one uh, nationalist content creator, or even if it's not a nationalist, if it's simply someone who's a conservative or a libertarian, even then I'd respond to them and give my opinion and take on it. Of course, I'm not doing this because I want drama. In fact, I don't. I simply want to analyze them and understand where they're coming from and give my perspective. And yeah, I have no intention to criticize them, or I may disagree with them, but I won't disrespect them or put them down. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. And yeah, this has been an okay year for me. Not great, not bad, just okay. And I hope next year will be better. Thank you for watching. Vande Mataram and a Happy New Year.